The students at BORG Dreierschuetzengasse High School in Graz never saw it coming. Before we begin today's story, please let us know where you are viewing from. Please remember to subscribe if you like this video, and please watch till the end. It was an ordinary spring morning, the kind of day where laughter echoed through hallways and teenagers yawned through early classes, passing notes, scrolling through their phones, and daydreaming about summer break. But on this day, everything changed. At precisely 8:37 a.m., a young man stepped through the school's front entrance, his expression cold and unreadable, his pace steady and deliberate. No one stopped him. No one asked questions. He looked vaguely familiar to the few who caught a glimpse. Maybe a former student? Maybe someone's older brother? But in less than a minute, the answer to those questions would no longer matter. He was 21 years old. A dropout. A former student of this very school. His name is being withheld by authorities as they continue to process the horror he unleashed. In his hands, a shotgun and a pistol, both obtained illegally, smuggled and hidden with chilling precision. He was on a mission, not of theft or escape, but of destruction. He didn't run. He walked with purpose, his black boots echoing off the linoleum as he approached the classroom corridor. It was the same hallway he once walked years ago, when he was a quiet, isolated teenager, bullied, mocked, forgotten. The same hallway where he endured years of emotional torture that, according to local media, may have festered into the rage that now fueled him. As he reached the first classroom, room 2B, he didn't hesitate. Without a word, he kicked the door open. The teacher, startled, turned from the whiteboard. Students froze. Before anyone could scream, he raised the shotgun and opened fire. The first blast shattered the window behind the teacher. The second hit a student in the front row. Chaos erupted. Screams. Blood. Desperate scrambling. He moved in circles, firing indiscriminately. Each shot echoed through the building, turning the once safe haven into a war zone. He reloaded quickly. Years of planning had taught him how. Then, without pause, he stormed into room 2C. Same pattern. Door kicked in. Panic. More gunfire. He didn't shout slogans. He didn't issue threats. He remained eerily silent, expressionless, as he pulled the trigger over and over again. Within minutes, 9 lives were gone. Students and teachers, their identities still being confirmed, their families plunged into grief that words can't contain. 28 others lay wounded, some critically, sprawled across floors smeared with blood and broken glass. The building went into lockdown. Students barricaded themselves in storage rooms and under desks. Teachers texted desperate messages to loved ones. Parents gathered outside, waiting for news, dreading what they might hear. But for the shooter, the carnage had reached its peak. As armed response teams moved in, he turned from the last classroom and walked calmly to the nearest bathroom. There, in the echoing silence, he placed the pistol under his chin and pulled the trigger. One final shot. When police entered minutes later, they found his lifeless body slumped against the tiled wall, the pistol still in his hand, the shotgun discarded beside him. No manifesto. No farewell. Just death. Investigators soon confirmed what many suspected. He had once attended BORG Dreierschuetzengasse, though his time there had been anything but easy. Records show he dropped out 3 years ago, following a pattern of absenteeism, disciplinary issues, and most notably, social isolation. Classmates described him as withdrawn. Some admitted he had been mocked, pushed, ostracized. Nothing that seemed out of place in a typical school setting, but enough, perhaps, to plant a seed of resentment. A seed that would grow silently in the dark until it exploded in unimaginable violence. Police now faced the grim task of unraveling his past, his motives, and how he managed to arm himself so heavily without raising suspicion. They've launched a full-scale investigation, combing through his online activity, his phone records, his few known associates. So far, there is no evidence of accomplices. No links to extremist groups. No public warning signs. But behind closed doors, there were signs. A growing darkness. A fascination with violence. A need to reclaim control. This was not a spur-of-the-moment act. This was calculated, chillingly methodical. Survivors speak of his blank expression, the absence of emotion as he pulled the trigger. One teacher, who managed to drag 2 students to safety, described the shooter as not even human in that moment, just a machine. The wounded are being treated at hospitals across Graz. Some may not survive. Others will carry scars, physical and emotional, for life. The school is closed indefinitely. Grief counselors have been deployed. Vigils are being planned. Austria, a country unaccustomed to mass school shootings, is in shock. National leaders have condemned the attack, promising swift action and support for the victims. But for the families of the dead, no words, no promises, can bring back what was lost. 9 lives, stolen in an instant. 9 futures erased. And at the center of it all, a young man shaped by pain, consumed by rage, and lost in the silence that followed. The question now haunting Graz and the world is simple. How did no one see this coming? How does a boy turn into a killer? How many more live on the edge, unseen, unheard, waiting to break? The shooter may have died in that bathroom, but the terror he unleashed will echo for generations. This was not just an act of violence. It was a message. A cry of anguish from someone who felt forgotten, ignored, left behind. It doesn't justify what he did. Nothing ever could. But it forces us to look deeper, into our schools, our communities, our systems. To ask hard questions. To see the unseen. Because if we don't, this won't be the last time we grieve like this. And next time it could be even worse. If this story moved you, don't stay silent. Like, comment, and share this video to honor the victims and raise awareness. Subscribe for more true stories that demand to be heard, and let's make sure these voices never fade into silence.